Hi friends, so we'll talk about the documentation. I'm head of data and talk about documentation as code. So we'll talk about health and Sberzdorov company and also what we worked on and also about the approach. And also Sasha will tell you about what our accomplishments. About the Sberzdorov. Have you ever heard about this company? Great. How about Doc? Good. So 10 years ago, we merged as a Doc company. Now we are a huge service of digital health telemedicine in desktop and phone. Our doctors are available. We have our own clinic with our own doctors, also chronicle patient support, and we sometimes grew as twofold or threefold a year sometimes. So this is still a startup in some ways. I'll show you how much it's missing and what kind of issues we tackled. So it's important to understand what data are available. Another important topic is data security. It's not that we had issues with personal data, but also with medical data. That's a special category, and we need to know where they are located. There are issues about complex data, JSON, enums, and also another huge problem about quality testing. They should be tested in the source. And what kind of document did we have? Basically, it looked like this, and those 17% looked like this. I don't think this is really documentation. We needed sensitive data to restrict access. Everything has to be encrypted, so we need to have rights. We need a role model, and there's satellite data which is also covered. As far as auditing is concerned, so we need to understand who ever touched the sensitive data. And also as a bonus, once we know where the sensitive data are, we can analyze the dumps in Prodi and other non-productive environments. Enums. This is a typical story that happens in analytics. Sometimes it's missing. So what happens sometimes is that an analyst may know what those statuses are, or sometimes the people have long left and you don't know where they are. So we need to have documents on these fields. And JSON also. On the one hand, it's great that it's a self-documented story. On the other hand, it's not always like that. Plus, there could be sensitive medical data involved, and we need to know this. Now, data quality testing. We know the history because we want to know something broke down before the business shows up at our door. So what we do is we slow down the pipeline until the reports are broken. So someone has to write those rules, and they're business rules as well, not just technical. Now, what did we look at? There are traditional stories, like someone describes doc files, and then you get tests, or it's double work. But as analysts, as business users especially, we don't really enjoy looking for things based on doc files. This is not a good option for us. It can be structured in wiki. It seems to be more simple, but on the other hand, as far as data quality is concerned, the transfer story, and so on. Code, project code. We looked at this as one of the priorities, and this story was about asking analysts to write SQA migrations, any comments to those to the essence. This worked for data privacy, and with the help of text we could make comments but never solve the data quality issues because there's limitation, 1,000 symbols for comments, but for data quality this was not enough. And the last option, the story must migrate automatically. It also crawls behind all the sources with the help of interface. It helps document those, and put up tags, use business glossaries, and so on. This is data privacy. Data quality, not everyone can do this. But there is some complexity in describing the rules. So what we arrived at. Thank you for such an in-depth introduction, and I hope we're not alone. Now, actually, what did we do? This is about data catalog and Git, and the combinations, happy combination of those. We had data catalog. Now this is a UI for humans, API for machines. And we have YAML as well. But now, as far as the data catalog is concerned, there are many of those. Proprietary, open source. We use Data Hub from LinkedIn. And in addition to this beautiful interface, it has quite a few excellent features. It can synchronize the sources automatically, and those could be not just SUBD, but YAML, file storage, or DBT, superset, tables, and so on. Also, you can assign owners, domains, you can keep glossaries, add tags. There's quite a toolkit available, and we have a link in our presentation. You can run the demo version. Well, why did we choose YAML file? This is quite simple and well understood by people. And you don't need to spend weeks and months studying this. This is just a simple structure, and you don't need to pay for training if you want to train your people. It's quite convenient for machines. It doesn't matter what the programming language is used. It's Python, integratable, Ruby, Java, whatever integratable. Low threshold, and it's good for version control because this is a regular text file. How does it work? We have system analysts, their own domain gurus. We have Data Hub with Appium, which is synchronized with the sources. We have tool data docs, self-written, and it can work with Data Hub and can also communicate with system analysts. We have MeetLab, and this one contains our repository. How does it work? System analysts would pull tools with the help of Datadoc, so that would be a table of data, and he wants to enrich some information, add the description or add business glossary terms, quality testing, YAML file, and then would enrich that file and would send it to Git, and that would code review would follow, and then CI/CD would be activated with the help of the same tool. The changes are synchronized in the data hub, and that's how the most recent information is reflected. What does it consist of? Our YAML file. YAML file are generated one per table. This is a source, then would have a file, a directory, and the files inside the directory. So then you would have a table as a key element. First would be the unique identifier in the data hub. Second, the title, the description, and primary keys. Primary keys could be with the source if they are physically created, or system analyst can indicate those keys. Next is a purely technical unit. It is needed for pipeline to work to load KHD. So we show the field where it should be positioned, whether the table is ready to be loaded. So system analyst would look at it and would make sure that there are no personal or sensitive data. And it means we can use it in our pipelines. If it's not doesn't have ready for load, we will never load it, because this could be our derriere after all. And then some of them have to be synchronized more often, less often. Next is meta information about columns. We have titles, description, and also if there's a column with personal information with sensitive data, then we would put it in the glossary like here. And then in our pipeline we would look at such terms and would try to encrypt the data. Next, if we deal with enum, that could be found in charts, then we would add another key ticked with the reference to an information box. It's a separate YAML file, and with a title and with the lines. This is quite elementary. If there's JSON, so we can add another key, scheme. It says how it should be parsed, and which should also receive columns.
If there is sensitive data in JSON, we use tags. For example, name and email fields. And through glossary terms we see what's specified. Name and email. Also we implemented data quality verification through YAML. We use great expectations. It pulls out, it extracts verifications from YAML and runs it at our R3 file exchanger, not to create extra pressure. Data quality checks may refer to a table or to a column. We also added couple sets This is a group of checks. For example, when it comes to an identifier, analysts check if it's unique and what node it has. We simply optimized it to have fewer lines. I guess that's all about our YAML file. At the end of the day, what we have is a common entry point for all data relating to company. Not only can we find data, we can understand it, and if we can understand it, we can use it correctly. In our solution, we sorted out and addressed complicated data that we had been living with for a long time. And this is where we assisted analysts who have been running from one department to another, and we help data engineers by packaging JSONs in a nice and presentable fashion. We also introduced mechanism of a business glossary for encrypting sensitive data. We added DQ check, and everyone is now a bit happier. And we learn about problems earlier than report users. Understanding data now takes less time. Business is quick to receive reliable data, and of course, we keep in mind our employees, and we realize how hard it has been for them to not know what data is saved at our company. So we sorted it out. So future employees will be happy as well, we hope. That's it. From our side, we finished the presentation. Your questions, please. Hi, everyone. Do you utilize documentation as a code approach to describe interactions between servers? If so, how documentation looks and what problems have you encountered, if any? Documentation as code for interacting between servers is not used at the moment. Thank you. Hello. You've provided an excellent description of how your folders are systematized. Is there a top-level understanding? I mean, I have a gazillion of tables. How do I know which table to target to look for right data? For that, we use Data Hub catalog. Sources are distributed by data domain, plus there is lineage, which helps you trace history from table fields all the way to report. So if you need to understand data, you will know where it stemmed from. This is for existing data. What about new data? Analysts know what new data they get. Plus, we interact with machines, so we can add alerts to show which values have been documented. I'm talking about new reports, but I guess what you say is analysts simply know about where the data came from. Good afternoon. Thank you a lot. Documentation is very topical. Do you use a template which is more familiar for external uses, or is it customizable? In other words, can information that you use now be transformed into something more usable that would go into terms of reference? Potentially it's possible, but at the moment that's not our task at hand. We documented all info in a YAML file. Then it is reflected. This meta information is visually represented. Not only is it available inside the code, I'll quickly go to the interface slide. So the Data Hub has an interface with its columns and lines, and there is Properties tab where we put all the information, technical information that we incorporated, glossary terms. Could you tie it into something more common and usable, wiki-like? I guess it could be done through expert function. It's not difficult to convert YAML to HTML, for example. We don't have this roadmap for now. We use road. Hi, thank you for your presentation. This thing with description of YAML file, does that apply only to tabular data? Or can you load Mongo radius? You can use it for anything you want. That hub can crawl Mongo and others. Anything, you name it. Sasha and Oleg, thank you very much. My first question is, could you pull up the last but one slide where everyone is happy? So let's talk about happiness. You see, everyone is happy. Analysts, business, employees. But what about customers? How did your solution affect or influence your end customers? Data becomes more available. Data availability drives absorption of data by analysts, which means data will be quickly delivered to a client. How long does this travel from previous state to the current state take? We're still on the way, as documentation is not an easy process. For development of tools, well, it took us about 2 weeks for that. I mean, a solution at a business level. You previously used a different pattern. We didn't have a previous pattern. Developers did it haphazardly, so the decision transformed quite quickly. Thank you. I enjoyed the question about roadmap and how to deliver it to business.